Let me take you to a scene you may have overlooked. A woman standing in the kitchen at 6 a.m., her hair in a messy bun, no time for coffee, barely awake, but already carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her kids are asleep in the other room. She's about to start her day, not just as a mother, but as a teacher, a nurse, a provider, a protector, a planner, a cleaner, a negotiator, and if there's time left, a human being. That's the life of a single mom. And what we're not talking about enough in this country is that women like her, millions of them, are quietly rebuilding America brick by brick, while the rest of us are busy looking the other way. Now, I want to be clear. This is not a sympathy speech. This is a recognition speech. Because for decades, we've been celebrating the loud, the powerful, the rich, the ones with the biggest stages and the brightest lights. But what if I told you the most powerful act of leadership in America is happening in homes held together by the grit of a single mother? Because every time she chooses not to give up, she builds something. Every time she gets up for a job that doesn't pay her what she's worth, she builds something. Every time she wipes away her own tears so her children don't see her break, she's laying down the foundation of strength, resilience, and responsibility for the next generation. We love to talk about American values, don't we? Hard work, sacrifice, freedom. But I challenge you, where are those values more alive than in the life of a single mom trying to create a future from broken promises? Think about it. She's not asking for help. She's not looking for handouts. She's doing what Americans are supposed to do. She's standing up and saying, I will not let this be the end of my story. She is doing the job of two people while being judged by many, and yet she's still moving forward, still showing up. That's courage. That's leadership. That's America. And I want every single mom listening right now to hear me when I say this. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are the spine of this nation, and we need to start acting like it. Politicians should be studying your time management skills. CEOs should be watching how you run your homes. Social scientists should be modeling your emotional intelligence. Because when everything falls apart, you're the one who keeps things running. You don't just survive, you create. You create a home, you create discipline, you create dreams for your children, even when no one created space for yours. Let's stop pretending that leadership only happens in boardrooms and ballot boxes. Leadership happens at the dinner table with empty chairs and leftover spaghetti. Leadership is folding laundry at midnight because the school uniforms aren't clean. Leadership is telling your kid they can be anything, even when you've been told your whole life that you can't. And let me tell you something. Every act of love you give in those impossible moments is a radical act of rebuilding a better country. Because if we raise children with strength, with love, with resilience, that's how we win the future. That's how we rebuild a nation. You are the blueprint. You are the builders. You are the quiet revolution we've been missing. Now let's talk about something we don't say enough. Single moms are not broken. They are not less than. They are not missing a piece. They are whole, they are powerful, and they are resourceful in ways that will shake you to your core if you ever stop long enough to notice. But let's be real. Society has built a narrative around single moms that's soaked in pity and judgment. You've heard it before. It's a shame, they whisper. What did she do wrong? But here's the truth, and I want you to hear this loud. Single moms didn't fall. They rose. See, you don't become a single mom because you wanted the easy road. You become a single mom because life happened and you chose to stay and fight. You chose to protect. You chose to raise your child even when the other half of the equation walked away, passed away, or let you down. That is not weakness. That is the definition of strength. And yet in job interviews, in classrooms, in doctors' offices, in daily conversation, these women are forced to shrink, to explain, to justify, like they owe the world a reason for being resilient. Let me tell you what's broken: the system. A system that doesn't pay enough, doesn't care enough, doesn't support enough. A system where childcare costs more than rent, where sick days are a luxury, where working 2 jobs still doesn't mean you can afford dinner and school supplies. But yet, despite all this, she still finds a way. She finds a way to get her kids to school, to pack their lunches, to show up to parent-teacher conferences, to apply for scholarships, to fill out forms, to do the taxes, fix the tire, cook the meal, make the call, dry the tears, kiss the forehead, and somehow still dream. That, my friends, is not someone who's struggling. That is someone who's dominating under pressure. That is someone who should be on the cover of Time magazine. That is someone who should be getting applause every damn time she walks into a room. But what does she get? More pressure, less time, more criticism, less help, more shame, less credit. And still, she doesn't stop. You know why? Because she can't afford to. And because she believes that her kids deserve better, believes that life can be different, believes in something bigger than herself. That belief, that fierce and relentless hope, is a weapon more powerful than any government plan or economic policy. Hope is the engine that keeps her going. And let me say this to every single mom who's listening right now. Your hope is contagious, it's brave, and it's changing your family's trajectory. So when people ask me, Mel, who do you admire most? I don't say celebrities. I don't say billionaires. I say the mom who dropped her kids off this morning and went to her second job even though her feet were already sore. I say the mom who sat in her car and cried for 5 minutes, then walked into work with a smile. I say the mom who's reading her kid a bedtime story by the light of her phone because the power got cut off again. That is not weakness. That is fire. That is leadership. That is what rebuilding America looks like, not in theory, but in action, every day, quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. Let's talk about something that almost no one wants to admit out loud. Single moms are often alone, but they are never without impact. They don't have a team. They don't have a backup. They don't have time to take care of themselves the way they deserve. But still, they make an impact on their children, on their communities, and on this nation every single day. And yet, they do it without applause, without validation, without anyone telling them you're doing enough. Because let's face it, our culture glorifies overwork. It idolizes hustle. But when a single mom grinds 24/7 just to survive, people don't see it as ambitious. They see it as expected. They don't say, wow, that's heroic. They say, that's her job. But I'm telling you, what single moms are doing every day is not ordinary. It is revolutionary. Because in a world that is increasingly self-centered, where people check out the moment things get hard, she checks in fully. You know what blows my mind? Single moms don't just manage, they lead. They shape the emotional intelligence of the next generation. They teach their kids how to apologize, how to stand tall, how to treat people, how to fight fair, how to be kind, how to be strong without being cruel. Do you understand how important that is? That kind of leadership doesn't just impact a family. It changes neighborhoods. It changes schools. It changes cities. It changes this country. There are kids out there right now getting straight A's, not because life is easy, but because their mom stayed up all night with them even though she had a shift in the morning. There are sons and daughters who will graduate and go to college, not because someone handed them an opportunity, but because their mom fought like hell to keep the lights on and still made them believe they could fly. That kind of love, that kind of tenacity, that's legacy. That's generational wealth, not in money, but in mindset. And trust me, mindset is everything. When you're a single mom, you don't get the luxury of waiting for motivation. You don't get to collapse. You move forward, sometimes crying, sometimes limping, but always forward. And the best part, your kids are watching, and they're learning not just how to survive, but how to rise, how to love themselves, how to respect women, how to become men who stay, how to become women who lead. We are so obsessed with who's going to fix America. We ask, is it the next president? Is it the next CEO? But maybe, just maybe, it's the woman working the late shift while her kids sleep upstairs. Maybe it's the mom who didn't give up when the divorce papers came. Maybe it's the woman who had the courage to leave the abuse and start over even when she had nothing but a bag and her babies. That is what rebuilding looks like. Quietly bold, strong as hell, unseen, but unforgettable. So, if you're a single mom listening right now and you're wondering,